How's it doing? So we're just thinking about this because we're at the moment in time when I'm at school, we're doing a subject and we're learning a bit about this. The way years ago it used to be in the Constitution Act, that women's place was in the home. This is what was in the Constitution. It's only been taken out not too long ago. Isn't it's not. It's in recent history. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's happy. I'm happy to see, the change in this country compared to maybe in the 1970s, 1960s, 1950s, where majority of women stayed at home and basically their career, they couldn't do much outside the home, if that makes any sense, and their life was just combined into the home. And that's obviously wrong. Because everybody's entitled to go outside the home and live their life and have a good life and enjoy themselves. Because sitting in the house all day is it's not good for you. Staring over a stove and everything, it's not good for you. And obviously women have achieved a lot in the last few years. Obviously we had two, like Ireland is, how would I put it? Ireland has actually had two women presidents. That was a huge change. If you remember Roy Robertson in the 90s being elected. You can see the big change there. When she was being inaugurated as the first woman president of Ireland. There's a video of her being inaugurated, taking the oath, the oath of office, in other words. And everybody behind her and everybody in front of her was all men, completely all men. It's a big change. It's a big change. It's good to see women in politics. It's good to see. It's good to see. A mix. If that makes any sense, a mix of women and men. Because obviously years ago you look back in the 60s, the 50s, Darlene would have been full of men, and the same with Shannon Devon. And it's good to have a mix. It's good to have a mix, and I'm sure everybody will agree. Same in the workplace. There's women that I know actually one that's about them. And people might say that I don't believe you. Some people say I said that to somebody once and they didn't believe me that I know somebody get a woman that was about her. But she did work on the construction site. They didn't believe me, but it's actually true. She actually does work on the construction site. She works on construction sites for a building company. And you can see them big changes in society. You can see then there's women in different other jobs that you wouldn't have seen them in Garda Síochána, for example, years ago. It was probably in the 60s there's out taking women into the Guards. The army was probably around the 80s, the Irish army was probably the 80s. You see these big wars years ago would have been all men who would have took up all these wars. But again, it's good to see because, I know myself, my grandmother, my mother before that would have been, she would have been alive, and let's put it that way. Hiding away from the black and tans, hiding people who want to be black and tans, that's a story for another day, but it's a big story for her life. She didn't play by the rules, obviously. But yeah, my grandmother, my mother's mother, would have stayed at home. Obviously, had loads of children to look after and everything, and obviously my mother's father died very young. And she had a very hard life. It was very hard to put food on the table back in them days, especially when you were a single mother. You were barely getting any money. Single mother, a few bob at the end of the week, a few bob. That you wouldn't have anything left over. Very difficult. And she obviously had to give up her job. She actually worked in the factory. She actually worked when she was young in the factory. Then she got pregnant and obviously had to leave her workplace. And wasn't able to work after that. But you can see that because again you can see the changes now because honestly we have maternity leave now for women and even for men now. That's the big change now. You have a month off as a man and if you're a teacher or anything like that, you're entitled to maternity leave. And that's obviously great. You can see the big changes again. This is something interesting to talk about, and it's something interesting to see how Ireland has really came forward, I suppose, in this regard. Because it is good to see, it is good to see a mix, as I always say. It's good to see a mix of men and women in different workplaces, if that makes any sense. Because everybody's entitled to achieve their goals, and years ago it was just women were just stuck in the home, and it wasn't much of a life, and I'm sure everybody agree it wasn't much of a life for anybody, to be just stuck in a home for the rest of your life. Until the children grow up and everything and being a housewife. And it's good to see. It's really, really good to see. And it's a good change in society. And actually when I'm speaking of it, actually it's funny that I'm actually speaking of it now. When I was talking about maternity leave, actually the Minister for Justice, Helen McAtee at the moment, she's the first sitting woman as a minister to have a baby in office, so she's obviously pregnant and the baby's coming in sometime in May. And obviously wish her, I might not agree with her on everything, but I wish her the best with her baby, and I wish them all the happiness and all the health they have. So obviously we wait and see what happens with that. We wait and see how we wait and see. So it just goes to show you it is a big change. And actually when I'm just speaking to you too, because I remember now, I'm trying to remember everything off the top of my head. Our TD for Kevin Mon and Eve Smith. I think she was the first TD to have a baby as a TD in Darla, and I don't think there was ever maternity leave or anything, or paid maternity leave or anything like that. And I still don't think there is. I still don't. But again, probably will be soon. But yeah, we can see the big changes, compared to years ago. But yeah, it was good. Again, I just want to touch as we did have two presidents. Like in America, never had a woman president yet. It's a big change. It was a big change at the time in the 90s to see a woman president. And then obviously straight after Mary Roberts had left, Mary McAleese was president. And obviously the two of them done a better job with the cut we have at the moment. And forgive my language, but he's a bloody man who sits up at the hours and he just speaks every once in a while that he hides up at the hours for the rest of his life. It takes a big check. He runs away. He doesn't speak for a while. Then he talks again. Then he collects a big check. He sits in the hours and does nothing more or less. And he couldn't care less about the army. He's commander-in-chief in the army. He doesn't even know what the army is. It's a great country, don't you know? But at the end of the day, you have to just let him do what he has to do, I suppose. But anyway, but it is good to see the change. It is good to see, and looking back on it, it is good to see the change. And how society has developed in this sense. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that because we are talking about that at the moment at school. And this is something that I thought about it, and I have thought about it way before too, that there's a good change. And I was thinking about my grandmother and even my parents. Their mothers would have been always at home, and as they said, how they could stand being at home all the time, not even going out to the shops. They were maybe going out once a week to the shops and not going anywhere, just staying at home over stoves for hours and hours cooking dinner. It was hard, and it was hard to make ends meet, and because again, half of these mothers were single mothers who were just living on the bare minimum of what they could survive with. And obviously families who were bigger back then. But anyway, thankfully times have changed. Thankfully times have changed in that regard. So yeah, thank you for watching. Take care everybody, and bye.